Well, hey everybody, thank you for joining me for today's devotion. We are continuing our journey through the Gospel of Mark. Today we are in chapter 3, and the beginning of this chapter for me is so reminiscent of where we are today as a culture, as a society. Jesus is in the synagogue. There's a man with a withered hand. Jesus heals him, restores this man to perfect health, but he does it on the Sabbath, and that violated some of the Jewish religious rituals or rules or regulations or cultural traditions, whatever they want to call it, that they had. And what really broke my heart when I read this is in verse 2, these religious leaders, it says they were watching him, they were watching Jesus to see if he would heal on the Sabbath, so that they might accuse him. So on the Sabbath day, Jesus is doing something good, healing a man with a withered hand. But they see this as an opportunity to say, got you, you broke one of our rules. Got you, you violated one of our customs and cultural traditions. Got you. That's our culture today. That's our society today. In the secular world, political world, in the religious world. Doesn't matter whether it's the left or the right. Got you. Just looking for something that I can use, something I can twist, something I can distort, something so that I have a reason to attack my enemy. Never mind the fact that Jesus was doing something good. That's irrelevant. I got a way to attack you now. That's all that matters, because you're my enemy. And even if you do something good, there's no way I can acknowledge that. No way I can give you credit for that. Because the only thing I can do is attack anybody who's not on my side. Watching to see an opportunity, say, I got you. And the story continues. In verse 5, Jesus' response to them was that he was looking around at them with anger. Did you hear that? Grieved at how hard their hearts had become. And after that, in verse 6, these religious leaders, the Pharisees, went out and immediately began conspiring with the Herodians against him as to how they might destroy him. These two different groups who did not agree with each other, but they were united in their opposition to Jesus. So they got together to say, let's put aside our differences so that we can get him. Wow. The goal is to win, not be right. The goal is to destroy, not build anybody up. There was a tweet that was put out on Twitter by a man who is a church member, not our church, another state, church member, leading businessman, thinks of himself as a leading Christian. In fact, at one point, he was on the executive committee of the Southern Baptist Convention and was part of the group that resigned when we started dealing with sex abuse. And he's hardcore. The story recently of Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, her husband being attacked in his own home by a crazy guy with a hammer. So this so-called Christian lay leader put out a tweet that had a picture of some underwear, a man's underwear on the bed with a hammer on top of it, laying on the underwear. And I won't mention his name because I don't want to give him any publicity. But his tweet was, "Get it now, the Paul Pelosi Halloween costume." Underwear and a hammer. because this guy broke into Paul Pelosi's house in the middle of the night while he was sleeping and tried to kill him with a hammer. That is horrible that anyone who claims to know Jesus would tweet anything like that. It doesn't matter what you think about Nancy Pelosi's political views. It doesn't matter what you think about Paul Pelosi and his DUI. Man broke into his home and tried to kill him. And here's a so-called Christian, a leader, tweeting something like that. It's disgusting. It's disgraceful. And there's nothing about it that honors Jesus Christ, our Lord. Brothers and sisters, we cannot allow the hatred, the animosity, the gotcha mentality of the culture that is shaped by Satan and lost and separate from God to shape how we as disciples treat people and respond to events. We are followers of Jesus. Let's act like it. That's the message today. I'll see you tomorrow.